Hi there, I'm Dr. Brenda Wade, and I want to talk with you today about something that's very poorly understood in our culture, and that is trauma. We all know about PTS, of veterans coming home from war, and that they have invisible wounds that can lead them to very seriously deteriorate in their relationships with family members, loved ones, to turn to drugs and alcohol and end up living on the street because of the injury to their psyche, to their brains. So we know a little bit about PTS from all the discussions, but what we may not realize is things like the isms, racism, sexism, ageism, homophobia. Any of those are also a form of trauma for the person who is exposed to them. We have abundant research from all over the world showing what trauma really is. So I'm very quickly going to give you a definition of trauma that is including all the research, a little bit of the findings, and then what do we do about trauma? First, trauma is multidimensional. Something happens and a person is upset. For example, someone recently shared a story with me. He was part of the basketball team at a university in Chicago, and he and his buddies were out after the game, the team members, having pizza, having beer, chatting, and when they left the pizza parlor, 3 police cars converged on them, slammed them all to the asphalt, and held guns to their head. Called them the N-word and all kinds of other epithets, threatening them, if you move your head, I'll blow your brains out, this sort of thing. Now, the person who recounted this to me recently was talking about something that had happened 30 years ago. And I could still see the physiological changes in his face. His hands were sweating. He became visibly upset over something that happened 30 years ago because trauma isn't healed by just the passage of time. We have to do something. We have to intervene. So here's what happens. The event occurs. The heart begins to race. The body's preparing to fight, to flee, or to freeze in order to survive. The body begins to fire instantly, high levels of stress hormones. The cortisol hits the brain. The brain is now impacted. So physically, emotionally, mentally, there are thoughts, oh my God, what's going to happen? Are they going to kill me? How do I get out of this? Why is this happening to me? What's wrong with me? All of these thoughts, this person described to me these feelings, and I've heard them from hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of people. Actually, it's more like thousands and thousands, because I've toured the country talking to people about trauma that has to do with racial justice. And then finally, there is actually an energetic or even spiritual wound because the brain can't stop racing. So the trauma sets in physically, emotionally, mentally, and you can call it energy or you can call it spirit. But there's an actual change in that person's energy frequency. We can now measure those things. Now we know from the latest research, we can see those changes in the brain. The CDC did a study of traumatized children, 17,000 brain scans. Same change in every one of those scans. We also know that the DNA contracts and the sequencing of the DNA changes, so it sets off illness that might otherwise have been secondary is now triggered. So we have a cascade of profound changes. Affects, as I said already, one's ability to relate and be a good partner or a good friend or a good family member. And of course it affects career, it affects ability to make good choices, to feel energized, to get where we want to go and be who we want to be in our lives. Now, the research has come in from everywhere that there are certain kinds of therapies that work. Somatic therapy, using the body as a modality for change. So through breathing techniques, somatic exercises and intervention, soma means the body. We also know that if there's tapping on the body, on the major nerve conjunctions of the body, sometimes known also as the energy centers or chakras in the East. It's not mysterious. Those energy centers are where the nerves conjunct and where the major endocrine glands of the body are, the glands that control the body. All right, so the body has to be treated. Those therapies have been found to be very effective. Next, we have to have emotional therapy. You have to have a means to clear the very, very traumatized feelings. There are a number of ways to do that. Tapping, talking about it at the same time, changing the thoughts, cognitive behavioral therapy, putting up the stop sign so we don't keep repeating, what's wrong with me? What's wrong with me? Am I safe? Why did this happen? Instead, we put the stop sign on, stop the thoughts. Now I choose different thoughts. In a nutshell, that's what cognitive behavioral therapy is. And then, of course, we know that mindfulness is very important. Being able to calm the mind, being able to refresh the mind, being able to hold focus helps us to get back into that state of inner peace because that reverses the trauma cycle. Well, what I've developed is a technique that layers all of those therapies together. Somatic, emotional, mental, what we call spiritual or energy medicine. Now, there's one more thing. At the Trauma Center in Israel, at University of Tel Aviv, they also found that people who could see the trauma as something that happened in the past. For example, they were studying Holocaust survivors. And they found that a survivor that felt that happened in the past, it was really terrible, but it's over there, and now I'm over here. Those people were better able to move forward. Those who felt like the Holocaust was still present, it was still there with them. They were still every day feeling the feelings and looking at the horrifying images or remembering what happened or their parents had told them. Those people had more difficulty moving on. Now think about it. Is racism in the past? Sexism in the past? Ageism in the past? No. None of the isms and phobias are in the past. They're still present. That means people are being re-traumatized. So we need a steady use of these tools that make a difference. So by layering them all together, we're going to use NLP, neuro-linguistic programming, CBT, cognitive behavioral therapy, somatic therapy, emotional freedom therapy, and use this energy medicine or spiritual. Okay, you ready? It's very simple. We link the forefinger and the thumb of both hands, so it looks like this. And then we tap on the major energy or nerve or even right here, thymus gland. We tap there. Because what we want is to begin to dampen the effect of all the cortisol going through the blood and sensitize our heart. The heart is a brain. 80% more information going from the heart to the head than the head to the heart. So we're going to activate this power by tapping. Hard for me to do that and hold the mic at the same time. So we're tapping here. And as we're tapping, we're going to say, I am 100% lovable. I am 100% lovable. Then I am 100% worthy. I am 100% worthy. And now I am 100% free to be me. Keep tapping. I am 100% free to be me. Finally, I am 100% safe. Now, by continuing this for 10 minutes, keep tapping those 4 great affirmations. We're using I am, which is a spiritual invocation. We're using the energy centers so the body can calm down. We're changing our thoughts from I'm not safe, or I can't be myself, or I'm not worthy, I'm not lovable, look what happened to me. We're changing those thoughts. And we're also bringing about a sense of peace. Do it for 10 minutes. You will feel the difference. And all of these different modalities are supported by current research. I just say use them all at the same time so we get a lot more impact for the same amount of time and energy. All right.